Hello, fellow feminists and toxic masculinists. It's time for another episode of Conservative Beer Reviews. Today we're going to be reviewing Hinterland's IPA. Imagine that. It's just called IPA. Lot when I drink beer. This one says it's brewed with the fiercely flavorful Simcoe hops. I liken it to licking an ashtray. Sometimes Simcoe can do that. I've never been able to really extract anything but ashtray out of Simcoe. I really like the people that can get the lovely apricot flavors and stuff. That takes talent. I'm noticing now, and I didn't see the date when I bought this when I was in Wisconsin. Best Buy, 6/26/19. So we could be in for kind of a surprise of a beer that's pretty faded and maybe even gross. But we're going to see what happens. So without further ado, if I can pick up my bottle opener. I found it. Guys. We're going to be okay. I thought for a moment there we weren't going to be able to have beer, and that would have been tragic. But we're back on track. So here we go. Popping that cap, throwing that cap into the camera's view. Ooh, I got a huge dent on the side of this. A war wound. This glass is tough, man. Look at that war wound. You can kind of see that little anomaly there. This is my Coors Batch 19 glass. I don't think they make Batch 19 anymore. That was actually a pretty killer beer by Coors. I didn't mind it. We're just gonna pour this beer like this, and we're gonna do it in a stylish fashion. Alright. So, we've got a mostly clear honey gold color with about a pinky finger of off-white buttercream icing colored head. Just touching the anomaly on the back. It's like rubbing a mole or something. Popping a pimple. It's really nice and tactile. Alright. So actually this still smells pretty fresh. That's a good sign. The beer is held up well. So yeah, kudos. I'm actually getting some apricot and melon here, so that's pretty sweet. Dude, there's like this one fruit fly, and he comes around every time I open a beer, and it's right about the time I start sniffing the beer. I'm not kidding you. You can look back at my videos, and I'll start doing this. I'll start catching him. There's just one fruit fly. The damn fruit fly. I'm gonna name that thing. As soon as I think of a creative name for that fruit fly that fits him. He's like a homeless fruit fly. He's just like, he hangs out, and he's like, somebody crack a beer, man. So back to the sniffing. So yeah, I actually get quite a bit of like cantaloupe and apricot, just like a hint of grapefruit, and I get some of that like stanky danky stuff too. So let's take a taste test. That is hella dank. That is, when I talk ashtray, I really should say hash tray, because it's like licking the bottom of a pipe bowl. And that's what this has. That's incredible. Like, and it just hangs, man. It just hangs. Pretty incredible. And there's like a lot of like fruity flavors to balance it out. Like, it's nice and bright. Like, I get like, oh yeah, I wouldn't say apricot in the flavor. I'd say more like tangerine and like just like a hint of like white grapefruit juice like in the morning. But dude, oh man, like it just freaking lingers.
Turn out. There's the alley-oop.
And this beer honestly is surprising me because like you wouldn't expect, just from like the flavor, just from the label, how much flavor's in this beer. It's incredible. Like, that's actually really, really good. And so like when I'm describing like oh man, it's like super dank and like an ashtray or like a hash tray. Like I'm not saying the beer's bad. I'm just like really trying to analyze it and process it. And I mean, there's a lot of like weird flavors, but they work. So it's pretty good. Yeah, and like so the feel is like really crisp, super carbonated, but not over carbonated. I would peg this beer for the alcohol by volume at about 7.5 just from the warmth that I'm getting. And we're at about a 6.7 is what that says. So not too far off. So maybe just a little more perceptible alcohol than there should be. But that's not too bad. And it just coats, like there's so much oil and resin that just like coats the palate. And what I mean by that is when I talk about oils and resins, they hang on. So it kind of like creates like a coating on your tongue and then on like the roof of your mouth, like your palate, the roof and the bottom of your mouth. And so it creates this long lasting finish that just stays there. And so I promise, like, I think it would be a good idea because I know some of my viewers don't really know some of the terminology that I throw around. And so I'm going to try to be better at explaining that to you guys. For those that don't really know, like what I'm talking about, like what the hell does that mean? I'm going to try to explain that a little better. So like the oils and resins come from hops and they coat the palate. And so this has an intense hang time. Like
Somersaults through the air. On fire.
Like I can still feel the oils and stuff on my palate. And so it just really hangs there. The other thing I would say is this would be like example number one for like somebody who isn't into craft beer. This would be like example number one, or like apart from something like Stone's Ruination or Green Flash's Palette Wrecker, a heavy example of something you don't want to try when you start out with craft beer, because this will make you run away. It's intense. It's very forward. If you're used to drinking Bud Light and Busch Light and like what I like to genuinely call sugar water, because it is when you compare it to a lot of craft beers, this will you will probably literally spit this out because your palate's not ready for it. You haven't quite built up to that level where this actually can be analyzed. And so, and I don't mean that as a slam on anybody. It's just, it happens. Like, the more you drink beer, you kind of ascend the ladder a little bit and you kind of start to understand different flavors and profiles and whatnot. But this, I know if I tried this, like 6 months into trying craft beer, like, I'd be like, dude, this is freaking disgusting. But it's not. Like, it is, it's to be respected. It's pretty good. It's got a really nice creaminess too. So I'm going to give 4.25 on the look. The aroma, we're going to call that a 4. I'm going to give the flavor a 4. I'm going to give the feel a 4. And I'm going to give it an overall of like a 4.05. Anytime I rate above a 4, it means something I would come back to. So despite it being out of date now, this is still just, and it says fiercely flavorful. They're not lying. Hinterland brings it. This is a good IPA. So if you are looking for something super in your face and super flavorful, don't pass this up. It'd be easy too. I mean, it's so generic. It's like IPA. Okay. But it's not flashy. It's so unpretentious. Like it sits there and waits for somebody like me to just come pick it up and be blown away by it. So excellent example, guys. Eat meat, keep your guns, and drink good